Hi everyone, Irene here from Admin Army, back for this week's Xero tip. Today we're going to be continuing on our series on invoicing, and we're going to be looking at how to set up your invoice templates. So what you want to do to adjust an invoice template is come in and select Settings, General Settings, and then you want to select Invoice Settings. So I highly recommend that every person who sets up a Xero account that is on the standard edition comes in and adjusts their invoice settings so that you have a little bit more personalization. So you will have by default a standard invoice setting, and that's just what everything in Xero will default to. You can set up as many invoice themes as you would like. So that's really useful if you have a company that is running multiple businesses out of it. So you might have some consulting that you're doing in one perspective. So it could be, Irene Bennett's consulting, and then I might have a small retail thing on the side that I'm doing, but I want to use the same company to manage both of those. But I want to be invoicing them separately so that the people that I'm doing management consulting from aren't getting invoices from Irene's retail company. So the first thing you should do is upload your logo. So there's this little upload logo button here, and Xero tells you what the requirements are. So 420 pixels wide by 120 high. And so if I come in here and select my demo logo and upload, we can now see that my demo logo is now showing. And then what I'm going to do is select options and then edit. So from here, you can change the name of the template. So if you have, for example, multiple retail locations, you could have the Hawke's Bay store and you could have the Auckland store. Generally, I would recommend leaving all of the margin information and defaults as they are. You don't need to do too much in terms of changing invoice titles. However, one example of a reason you might want to change this will be if you're sending out pro forma invoices for payment in advance of shipping product. So what I would recommend you do then is change the draft invoice to say pro forma invoice. And that way, whenever you generate a draft invoice, it's going to show as a pro forma for you. You can check any of these boxes depending on what your requirements are. I would highly recommend unticking the show payment advice cutaway box. In Admin Army, I don't really want people sending me checks or cash to pay for their invoices. That would actually be quite upsetting for me. Not that I'm upset if people pay me, but I don't really want to have to go to the bank and do any banking. So what I do is I try to encourage people as much as possible to pay via direct credit. So I'm not going to give them a little payment advice cutaway to encourage them to send that to me with a check. You can change what side of the invoice you want your logo to show on. You can choose whether you want taxes to show as inclusive or exclusive on a line-by-line basis. In here, you can enter the contact details that you want to show on the PDF of the invoice. So this again could be if you have multiple retail locations. If you're sending an invoice out of the Hawke's Bay office, you might want the Hawke's Bay address to show. If you're sending it out of the Auckland office, you might want the Auckland address to show. Payment services. So if you have connected PayPal or Stripe or another payment service, credit card payment service to your Xero account, this is where you can come in and have it so that it shows when somebody gets sent out an invoice and they click the link in the email message. Terms and payment advice. So this is the one thing that I highly recommend every single person when they get their Xero account come in and set up. I've had a few clients lately who have rung me saying, where do I put my bank account details? I've had a customer ring me to find out how they pay me. You want to ensure that your bank account details are showing on every single invoice to make it as easy as possible for people to pay you if they need to. So in the terms and payment advice, you can adjust that as much as you want. So for example, for me, I don't send out statements at the end of every month to everyone. So I have please pay on invoice, no statements will be sent, and I show the bank account details to make payment into. And it's also a great opportunity. You can even put a nice little thank you for your business, we appreciate your custom, or anything like that that you feel needs to be shown on every single invoice. So when you've made those changes, you can then select Save. Now, it does have an option where you can download a zip file that contains a Word document, and you can then upload that Word document as a template. I don't have a lot of clients that are doing this, but it does give you a little bit more functionality around that. I'm not going to go through that step by step, but effectively you can design that Word template to look how you want it to look, and you're just using placeholders such as quantity, value, total, etc. to pre-populate the information that you're entering into Xero for that invoice. So this demo company has that option as the very orange invoice to see. So now that we've got the invoice template set up, what this means is when we're coming into an invoice, and I'm going to go into these draft invoices that have been set up, we actually here at the end have the branding drop-down box. And this is where we're able to select which Xero invoice template we want to use. So it's going to always default to standard. So that's what, if you don't even need to, if you only have the one invoice template, you're never going to have to change it. But if you do want to switch between various ones, you just simply change the drop down on the branding. So if we select standard and we preview at this stage, you can see that that has popped up as a pro forma invoice because that's what I changed the draft invoice title to. It's got my nice new shiny logo that I've put in there. The address that I had on that invoice is showing, and we can see down the bottom we've got the terms and conditions for that invoice. If we change that to the special projects branding and save that, wait for it to save, and then go over there, we're able to preview it, and we can see that that has changed from what it was that I set up with the demo logo and that type of thing to what the other invoice template was set up as when it finishes loading. So the one key point to note is with the invoice settings, if you do go ahead and do the Word document, you can't use the preview button here in Xero. You can only generate a PDF to see what that invoice looks like. So that's just a little key point to note. This obviously doesn't want to load for me today, so I'm going to leave it there. If you've got any questions about invoice templates, feel free to put them in the bar below or send me a message, and I'll be back next week with our next Xero tip. Have a great weekend. Bye.